Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of The Probe. Tonight we are focusing on the District Assembly and Units Committee elections. On the average in Ghana, the turnout for our national elections has been around 70 to 75%, whilst the turnout for the so-called non-partisan local government elections hovers around 30% most of the time. Well, the target for this year's election, at least we've heard from the EC and the local government ministry, they are targeting 50 and 60% come Tuesday. Feasible target, we'll take a look at it. But really, what is accounting for the apathy? Why are prominent people no longer participating in district assembly elections? Why are they not even standing for these elections? Why are the upper class far removed from the elections at this level? Is the key question for many. Now, why have you decided not to participate in the upcoming polls? Yes, it's you I'm talking about. What is your reason exactly? Why don't you care? The question many are asking is, why should I care? Well, these and more are answers that we are seeking tonight as we get ready for the polls on Tuesday. But we have the figures in terms of the numbers that are contesting. We are seeing about 6,000 centers amongst others. We are looking at a number of the figures and all the details tonight here on The Probe. And my guest tonight will help you take all the questions. Tonight is dedicated to you, especially the voter. We'll take all your questions about this upcoming elections and what you ought to know so you can participate come Tuesday. Well, we get into the details. Why you should care is the key question that many are asking. But let's look at the figures. So for the description, in terms of the districts, constituencies and electoral areas and the total number of polling stations, this is what it's looking at. The districts are 268. We are looking at constituency 276, electoral area 6,272. That's what it looks like. And then total number of polling stations, 38,622. That's where we are in terms of the number of polling stations. And already, I'm sure you're asking why the constituencies are 276. Don't worry, we'll get answers to that. And the number of electoral areas, 6,215, like I said. The total number of contestants at the district assembly election level, we have 18,755. That's what it looks like in terms of the total number of contestants at the district assembly elections. We have for the units committee level, we have 47,502. That's the numbers in terms of the UCE and the DAE. That's where you're seeing units committee elections and then district assembly elections. We go on to the very next, and this is the regional breakdown for the district assembly elections, the contestants. So at the Ashanti level, we have 3,794. Eastern region, 2,685. Central, 1,634. At the Volta region, we have 1,398. The Greater Accra region, 1,340. We head on to the Western region where we have 1,197 contestants. In the Northern region, 1,074. Upper East region, 939. Bono region, 877. Upper West, 730. Bono East region, 664. Oti region is giving us 628. Western North, 575. Ahafo, 440. Savannah, 397. And Northeast, I should say, 373. That's the regional breakdown in terms of the contestants for the district assembly elections. We'll take a look at the units committee. If we could go on to the next, that's the breakdown for the unit committee election, the contestants. Ashanti still leading, this time 9,314. Eastern, 6,818. Greater Accra region, 4,607. All the way to the Northeast where we have 648. This is the breakdown in terms of the contestants for the units committee elections as well. These are the figures. And most people have been asking about the prominent persons that we've had over the period. At least the number of names have been bandied around. At least we know that if you've been an MP before, the current president once an MP because he served at that level as a member of the assembly. Well, these are things that we'll be getting all the nitty-gritties into. But we know that Dr. Pakwesi Ndom, at least from what we know so far, he began his active role in politics in 1997 after being elected as a member of the Commander Edina Eguafo, Ebrim District Assembly for the Akoto-Binsing electoral area. He was an assemblyman at that point. But the rest of them, we have the president, Achille Buakwa constituency, because by virtue of the fact that he was an MP, we have former President John Mahama. They were assembly members, but were not elected as assemblymen. So these are some of the prominent names, at least. We've seen the Speaker also, he was a unit committee member before rising through the political ranks. So we have a former Minister of Food and Agriculture. And the names endless, because once they've been MPs before, then of course they've been assembly members. But why are you not contesting? Why are you not taking part or even wanting to vote on Tuesday? You want to stay with me? I've seen most of your questions that you sent in. We're live on the Joy News channel. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, all our social media platforms. And your questions have come in fast and thick, and we'll be getting into it shortly. My guest tonight is Dr. Srebo Kweku. He's Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. He will take all your answers. I also have in the studio Dr. Eric Oduro-Osai. Of course, when it comes to local governance, we all know him for that. He's currently the Director of the Audit Agency, and he's also made time to join us tonight here on The Probe. Welcome, gentlemen. We are ready to get into the questions. Thank you very much for joining us once again. A quick turnaround, and we return with my colleague, Sweetie Abochi. He's been interacting with some aspirants on why they want to be assemblymen and women and what their role actually is. Do stay with me. I am Emefa Apau, and this is The Probe. Welcome once again.
My name is Honorable Nathaniel Welbeck. I think we implement the law, you understand. When you talk about development, we are supposed to make sure the electoral area is developed. But the question is, are the logistics available? Are the logistics available? That is a challenge. But we are trying our best. When you talk about electoral area projects, we have to push, we have to fight, we have to argue before you can even get one.
So it's not a situation of you are not doing the job. It's a situation of lack of resources.
Resources, you understand? The resources are not coming forth. You understand?
The framers of the Constitution deemed it as an opportunity for us to also take development to the very barriers of the grassroots. But looking at how the implementation has been done, it looks like in one way or the other we've not been able to do it well as people, because you have the local person there who is not paid anything at the end of the month, but yet.
At all? I thought as assembly members you receive some allowances or salary. What does the funds that you get look like? Is it allowances on monthly basis, or how does it come in?
Okay, it's sitting allowance for meetings. So it means when you don't show up at a meeting, you don't get anything.
How do you fund your campaigns?
For me, it's a miracle, you know. It's a miracle, you know.
Please,
yes, we do have chiefs, we do have our brothers. And one thing that I normally do is to sometimes lobby, you understand, and it's helping me a lot. When we talk about political party, I don't think so.
Do you know your assemblyman?
No, please, I don't know.
Yeah, minimum assemblyman.
Yes, I know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
No, I don't know. I haven't seen it before.
Oh, that be my assemblyman.
No, I don't know my assemblyman.
One or two about assembly elections, Nimuda. Obian to Aban. I don't know to Abano.
When you vote for these leaders, they do not do anything in the community. I don't see the reason I should waste my time to vote for them. It's always a repetition. You vote one into power, and they don't do anything until the next elections, and the next person is voted into power. There really is no use in voting for them. I have noticed that if you vote for any leader in this country, you are simply giving them opportunity to enrich themselves and their families. That is why I'm not interested in voting for anyone.
Him say do right no responsibility say we elect Obi for local government. I also be represented. If something is going on in your community that is not good or needs the attention of government, that is the person who is supposed to go and represent and talk about your grievances. How do we make sure say going forward the right thing is done?
Oh, I'm not only person can vote to the
I am not the only person who needs to vote for them to work. If I don't, someone else will, and if they win, they will do what they have to do.
And you have win. So what you're supposed to do, you have to do it.
Thanks for staying with us here on The Probe. We are focusing on the District Assembly and then the Unit Committee elections that's coming up this Tuesday, and why you should care, why you should go out to vote. And my guest in the studio, Dr. Serebour Quaicoe, is right next to me, and Dr. Eric Odrosai as well in the studios. Thank you so much once again for joining us here in the studios. Well, Dr. Serebour, we started with the figures, and we saw that we had 268 instead of 261 district assemblies. Correct. And then also I had 276 constituencies instead of 275. Can you explain to me why we have these figures?
Thank you very much, and my regards to your listeners and the watchers. Yeah. With respect to the 268, that is from the Electoral Commission point of view, but administratively, we have 261. Okay. We include the sub-metros, because the sub-metros are manned by our district officers, so we normally talk of 268. But in terms of our administrative structure, it is 261. Okay. Again, with respect to the constituency that you said 276, Guam constituency has been created. The law was passed last week. Okay. So last Monday, we have officially been written to that the Guam constituency has been created. So God willing, they will vote in 2024. Okay, and then on Tuesday also they get to participate. Yes. Right? Yes. Okay, yeah, so that's why we have 276. Exactly. Okay, well, I'll talk about the prominent persons also with you. And Dr. Odrosai, welcome. We are ready for Tuesday.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. From all indications. And on my way to the studio, I saw a lot of posters around, and I've heard a lot of people talking about it. I've seen some assembly members and unit committees going around. The interesting thing is that now the assembly members, potential assembly members, are campaigning with their potential unit committees. So you get an assembly member who has his poster, and then beneath is he will say that, well, vote for me and vote for these 5 unit committee members. So the interest is very high, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, it's interesting that listening to the people that my colleague interacted with, most of them don't even know the role about the assembly members, let alone the unit committee members. But we're talking about the prominent members, prominent persons that have been assemblymen before. We talked about Dr. Pakwesi Ndum. At least the rest of them, at least the explanation is that they've been MPs before, so they were assembly members. But Dr. Pakwesi Ndum, apart from him, do we know any other prominent people who were assemblymen? It turns out you know the history when it comes to Dr. Pakwesi Ndum.
Yeah, with respect to Pakwesi Ndum, I was then a young district officer for KEA. Okay. And that was 1998. So he contested Akodobinsi in electoral area. And at that time, he contested with one Mr. Anani. You can just imagine difference in class. So at that time, I was informed that Mr. Anani ended school at class 5. Okay. And the Pakwesi Ndum was a PhD holder. But in politics, you cannot talk of education and the rest. But at the end of the day, Dr. Ndum won with about 85%. Okay. So I don't remember, because I was at the center of the activities, so I remember everything. But really, for a PhD holder at that time to contest as an assembly person, is the concern for many now that we are not seeing that crop of people, that caliber of contestants when it comes to the assembly level and the unit committee level? What could be accounting for that, you would say? I wouldn't agree with you in full, even though I don't have but there are a lot of people with masters. I didn't see a PhD, but I saw a lot of masters, and so there are still a lot of people who are educated. People who use it as springboard for parliamentary and other things. So I wouldn't agree that people are not contesting. Because when Pakwesi Ndum was contesting at that time, he was not so popular as compared to the time he became an MP and the rest. So there are a lot of people who are contesting. And even for the first time, I can hear people constructing roads and investing. So in terms of resources, people who are resources are now going into the assembly. And I believe that they also want to use, don't forget that Pakwesi Ndum after 98, He also came to Parliament in 2004.
Yeah.
So it was used as a springboard. That's also doing that.
Okay. Dr. Odwasai, you may want to settle that bit. You know, there's this debate about whether the president, the former president, and the others were actually assembly members and all that. You've been giving me that education on that. Really, let's clear that bit and then get into the questions that have come up in terms of the election.
Thank you very much. By way of composition, every assembly is made up of, under Article 242 of our Constitution, every assembly is made up of elected assembly members, the member or members of parliament from the constituencies falling within the assembly's area of jurisdiction, the district chief executive, and 30% government appointees. So under Article 242, all sitting members of parliament are automatic members of the district assembly, so they can be called assembly members, except that under our laws, they have no voting rights. And it is specially designed like that so that they will be able to carry the needs of the assembly to the National Assembly. So anything that the assembly at the local level will not be able to achieve or do, they pass it on to the MP, who will then send it to the floor of Parliament. Again, assemblies are responsible for making bylaws. Bylaws are delegated legislation functions. And these are part of the functions of Parliament. So the role of the MP in the assembly is to quality assure the bylaw making process and make sure that the current bylaw the assembly may be making will not contradict any current or future law that Parliament intends to make. So our MPs are assembly members, and they should and they are interested also in the district assembly.
Are they interested as they ought to be?
MPs are interested, I can tell you, because I work with the local government committee of Parliament, and the interest and the enthusiasm with which all of them wants to go back to cast their vote and see who their next assembly member would be is there. It's very, very high. So MPs are interested.
It raises the issue then about political interference in the process.
Well, the Constitution is clear.
When are we going partisan once and for all? Because it looks like we are playing the ostrich when it comes to this particular election.
I agree with you, and that has affected participation and turnout. So I think that we are playing ostrich, like you said. If the sitting president is elected on partisan basis, MPs are elected on partisan basis, why can't we elect the local leaders who have the responsibility of bringing local level development? So I think we are playing ostrich. As I was driving here, I saw posters. Even though the Constitution is clear that they should not use symbols of political parties, but the colors of the posters will tell you where they belong to. So we are playing ostrich. And it is clear that most of the political parties are even organizing primaries for which of them to represent the political party in the district level election. So I think that it is about time we bite the bullet and amend Article 55 Clause 3 to allow political parties to sponsor candidates to local level elections. If we don't do that, that is going to happen. I mean, it is happening, and I don't know why we can't build consensus. I pray that one day we'll build consensus as a country and then move forward towards amending Article 55 Clause 3 to allow political parties to sponsor candidates to local level elections.
Well, Dr. Sribo, the issue about party colors and issues about symbols, amongst others, at least we've cited some of them, but really, are we not doing anything about when it comes to the colors? Sometimes you see the green and the white, and then you know that this is where we are going. You see the red, and you see that this is where we are going, the blue and the white. Can we do anything about it?
It becomes very difficult to do something about it, as you're talking of. I remember in 2019, 2015, in the Ashanti region, somebody was disqualified for displaying the colors of a political party as part of his posters.
Okay.
The person went to court, and the Electoral Commission lost. When he went to court, what he said was that he doesn't know the one who pasted the notice. So the court asked the Electoral Commission, did we see him pasting? He said, no. We lost, and the man contested and won. Just the one we are going to have on Tuesday. Somebody also came with a poster with that one, the political party symbol.
Is there?
Not the colors, just the symbol, everything was there. I'm talking of the one we are going to hold on Tuesday. So we invited the person. He said they were posted by his contestants, the competitors. They want to sabotage his campaign. What can you do? Because you cannot just say that because it is the color is his, he pasted, because it will be difficult for you to see the person pasting. So these are the challenges that we are having. And when the worst case is that when you want to disqualify the person is ready to go to court with you. How are you going to prove that you saw him or it was him who pasted it? So that is it. At least I've given you 2 examples.
Well, but why don't we care about this particular election is also the key concern, because interacting with people, some of them feel that, especially the upper class, they feel this is not their election. This is for the lower class. And the concern also has been that there is no fixed date for the district assembly elections, because it makes it difficult for people to even keep up, just like we have for the parliamentary elections. Why are we not working towards getting a fixed date for the district assembly elections? Is this something that the EC is working towards?
The fixed date for presidential.
And we have for parliamentary. So if this is also very important, why aren't we focusing on it?
Technically, in the Constitution, there's no fixed date for presidential, no fixed date for parliamentary. But the caveat is that if you want to hold the two, then there's a fixed date. If you remember, in 1992, it was held, I think, on the 3rd of November. Then the opposition parties boycotted the election. So the commission decided that in order not to have any boycott going forward, let's hold the 2 elections together. And the Constitution says that you can hold the presidential election not more than 90 days and not less than 30 days. And it goes further to say that for parliamentary, you cannot hold it more than 30 days to the elapse of the tenure of the parliamentary session. So if you put the 2 together, not less than 90 days and not more than not less than 30 days and not more than 30 days will meet at 30 days. That is why you have 7 December. So if you want to hold the 2 elections, you cannot hold it earlier than that or before that, after that. So that is it. But if you come to parliamentary and there's no law about it at all. So, and you know, we used to hold it 2 years before the general election. And in 1994, so 2014, somebody went to court about some nomination issue, and that delayed the process. So it reduced the 2-year intervals to 1-year interval. So that is a challenge.
Okay. Well, the concern, Dr. Eric Odrosai, is why this election is unattractive.
I think it's unattractive because we haven't made a noise about it. We have not been able to convince people that it is the first step towards building the democracy building blocks of this country. It is not for nothing that that election is held before parliamentary and presidential election. It is held so we can have the base right. It is held so we can have those who are closer to us to bring development to us. You realize that in all our elections, education is not a qualification. Not even the president. To become a president in the Republic of Ghana, or to contest to become a president, at least 40 years.
It's unwritten, but at least we know what we are looking for.
We know what we're looking for. But you see, it is not attractive. I'm saying gradually it's becoming attractive, but people do not care because we've not made a lot of noise about it. And it is also out of ignorance. I must say that if you live in a district assembly and you don't care to know what is happening within the district assembly, you are in trouble. You are in trouble because, 1, you have to pay your building permit. 2, you have to care about sanitation issues. 3, you should care about the roads. All these things are provided by the district assembly. In certain cases, we have district courts. So it is because people do not know, and at times, people do not even know that you can violate a bylaw within the district assembly and it can create problem for you. So, and going from leaving one district assembly and going to another district assembly, you should know the bylaws there. So I think that it is all about education. And that is why I would encourage NCC and all other institutions, the Ministry of Local Government is doing its part, to raise awareness. People must be interested in that one. Arguably, if we were to be interested in the local government elections, It is the assembly member who should be held responsible if there's no development. Before we move to our MPs, because MPs are in Accra. The assembly members are the closest to us, and they are the ones who make input into the assembly development
program. But we see them as very powerless. So
they are not. They can decide to shoot down an assembly's composite budget. They are the ones who make input into the assembly's budget. In fact, under the Local Governance Act, every assembly member is expected to hold a meeting with the people in his electoral area before and after every assembly meeting. The purpose of that is to solicit input so that once he goes to the assembly, he will know the development needs of the people and then relay it to the assembly. So it becomes part of the assembly development program. The MPs are not development agents, I always say. The MPs' work primarily is to make laws, but they also have the power to lobby. But the assembly members' role is to channel your development needs to the assembly, make sure it is in the plan, make sure there is a budget for it, make sure it happens. So the assembly member is the most important person. Secondly, let me say that the assembly level election is interested because that brings governance closer to you. When we talk about governance, it's not all of us who can reach the president in Accra. It's not all of us who can reach the speaker in Accra. It's not all of us who can even see our MPs. But if you want to participate in governance, it starts with you electing your assembly member, holding the assembly member accountable, and then making sure that when development is not coming, you knock at the door of the assembly member. So that is the beginning. And you see, I started by saying building blocks. Once you are able to participate in local level elections and you elect your unit committee member, you elect your assembly member, the next one you should be waiting for is to elect your MP next year, and then you elect your president. Then after that, the structure is set. You should be able to hold them accountable from unit to assembly to MP to president. Under no circumstance should someone bypass your unit committee member, your assembly member, your MP, and go to the president for development. If local governance is working well, and that is the education we should send down to people.
Okay. Well, it looks like we are leaving the foundation.
We have left the foundation, MFA.
And we are building on a weak foundation.
We are building on a very weak foundation. And that's why I said that it is not for nothing that the Constitution under Article 2, I think Article 246 is clear that the election to the district assembly shall be held every 4 years, except that such elections are to be held, shall be held at least 6 months apart, that of Parliament. You do that one first, and then the foundation is well built, and then you move to MP, and then you move to the president. I urge all Ghanaians to take part in all these 3 elections. Those are the building blocks for our development. These are the people who are going to determine our development in the next 4 years. And we are starting. So 2024 to 2028 starts on Tuesday. Everybody must take part. Elect your unit committee member, elect your assembly member, and then position yourself to elect your MP, position yourself to elect your president. Now it will be set. Then you hold them accountable to bring the needed development.
I'll dig into the questions now, but you talked about making noise. And the media, we are doing our part. But the concern is, it looks like the Electoral Commission also, when it comes to this particular election, we don't see much enthusiasm is the key thing. When we go around, the issue is that the EC itself is unenthusiastic when it comes to this particular election. They're only interested in the parliamentary and then the presidential. How do you respond to that?
You see, if you follow the participation of the Electoral Commission in terms of public engagement, you read that we rather engage the people more when it comes to this level election, especially through the platform mountain. And if you look at the number of adverts that we have given you, how many times do we hear that the advertising for people to go and vote for presidential, parliamentary? But for the look at the district level election, if I say you, I'm referring to media. That is why you are laughing. I'm referring to them, not to you. So we do a lot of engagement. But because the general elections, the political parties are more interested, so they do more of the publicity for the election, but not the Electoral Commission. But if we talk of Electoral Commission's enthusiasm and the rest, we are more enthusiastic when it comes to this level election, because that's where we go to the voters to engage them through the platform mountain and a lot of stakeholder engagements and the rest. As I speak to you last week, we had a lot of stakeholder engagement at the regional levels. But we don't normally do that when it comes to general elections. But the general elections, the politicians are the tools that help in the engagement. That's why the enthusiasm there. That is why I personally am in support with my brother when I say that we should politicize the local base. Because, I don't know, politically charged atmosphere on
at the top,
and the foundation is crumbling. So how can you survive? And you know, if you look at the local level elections, he has explained what they're supposed to do. But that's where the development should start from. Because the unit committee members are the people who are to engage the people to know their development needs and carry it through the MP, the assemblyman to the assembly. They even, if you read their structure, they are supposed to be supervising government workers at the units. When development government project is going on, they are supposed to monitor it. So they are supposed to assist the local minister for support the birth and death registry to do registration of birth, registration of death, and there are a lot of things that they are supposed to do. But maybe I don't know whether they are short of fund or whatever, but they are powerful institutions, but we are not capitalizing on them.
Okay. Well, the issue about the allowances we even give these assembly members also comes up. But a number of them, maybe I should just go into it. We haven't technical challenges projecting the questions on the screen, but I can go to it. We have this one from Sule, says, how crucial are the district assembly and unit committee elections in fostering grassroots democracy and local development within Ghana? And then this one also from Francis says, from your perspective, what are the key roles and responsibilities elected officials at the district assembly and unit committee levels, and how do they impact community growth and governance? So that's Francis. Now they are back on the screen. So we'll go on to Susan's question also. Says, what are the measures the Electoral Commission implementing to ensure a transparent, fair and inclusive electoral process for the upcoming district assembly and unit committee elections? That's Susan's question. And then Lucy says, I'll take 5 of them and then we can get answers. Has the Electoral Commission and the National Commission for Civic Education done enough to let people know about this election? So many people actually do not know there's an election about to happen. That's Lucy's question. Kweku says, why is the day of the district level election not a holiday? Why will so many people decide to leave work and other things and go and vote? Is this not part of why the apathy levels are high? Maybe the first 5 questions we can go into it. This holiday thing keeps coming up. And I don't know if the EC is considering anything like that, pushing in the government, interior ministry, amongst others. What do we say to them?
There are a lot of elections in this country. We have the parliamentary elections, we have the presidential election, we have the local government elections, unit committee elections. Why the local government elections? Why are we pushing for it to be a holiday? Maybe because of the turnouts and the patronage. But we all know what the problem is. The problem is not about holidays. Parliamentary election, presidential election days are not holidays, but the turnouts are very high. Why? Because the political parties are involved in the mobilization. With the local government elections, the turnout is low. In fact, when you look at the statistics, the best turnout we've had so far was before we came to constitutional rule, before 1992. 1988-89, the turnout was about 59.3%. And the best in the Fourth Republic has always been the 1998 election, which is about 41.6%. We've never crossed the 45% mark turnout.
But EC is looking for 60%, and the local government ministry says 50%. Feasible?
Well, it is feasible, it is achievable if we continue to drum home the point and let people know the importance of these local level elections. It is not about holidays. Yes, if we declare the day a holiday, it is a plus. But I think the fundamental problem would have to be resolved. Involving the political parties for the purpose of grassroots mobilization is critical. Once you fail to involve them, then you leave the individuals to do their own campaign, except for the EC that will mount platform. So it is individual campaigning and all of that. It doesn't help. So I think that we should bite the bullet and amend Article 55 Clause 3, allow political parties to sponsor candidates to local level elections. The holidays, yes, we can declare it as a holiday. If the turnout will not increase, it will not increase. The problem is us not allowing political parties to sponsor candidates. That's the problem.
Well, at least we've been talking about how crucial it is. Okay.
I don't think that anybody will stop a voter from going to vote when it is time for national elections. So whether,
but if we have to go to work,
no,
considering the work we do and all that.
You tell your employer that you are going to vote, no employer will stop you. Yes. Because that will be disenfranchising you. Nobody will do that. So the issue is not the holiday or holiday or not holiday. The issue is the person having if you declare 1 week holiday for this assembly election and the people will not go and vote, they will not go. So what we need to do is to help people to appreciate the role of assembly members and the unit committees in our local governance.
Okay.
And that's what. And you know, all the elections that we have had, some go to the extent of we get 80% of local level election at the rural setting. Okay. Because in the rural settlement,
they know the worth of
and
the assembly
in my
members.
village and in the Ashanti region, it is the assembly member and the unit committee who decide where you should bury your relative. They decide when you can fix a date for your funeral. They decide even the time to start donation. They have to announce. It's the honorable who come and announce that now the funeral is open, people can donate. So the impact there are felt. That's why if the wife or the husband of the assembly woman will
it's very powerful.
But honorable, you don't know me. Honorable couldn't in the rural settlement, we are there, so the turnout are always high. But if you come to break in Accra, you can get 12% and the rest at certain areas. So that's because a lot of people in Accra don't even know the assembly members. So the impact of the local governance is more felt in the rural settlements than the urban settlements. So we need to do something about that.
Look, are you able to tell us why the impact at that level is higher than when we see it here? Because assembly members are very powerful.
Yeah, they are.
In the rural settings.
They are powerful because in the rural settings, the MPs are not there. Okay. All the MPs are in the big cities, Accra. So if somebody's in Accra, he can see his MP almost every day. And then also, you see, there's one thing we need to understand that and EC is here. In a local level government election, it's first past the post. And somebody can win to become an assembly member with 1 vote. Yes. And also, in elections or in governance, elections produces the most popular person, not necessarily the most competent person.
Okay.
The most popular person. And in a rural setting, you can have a hunter, you can have a palm wine tapper, being the most popular person, and if you are a lawyer, you contest with the person, and he will beat you hands down. Because he's always with the people, he's always with them, they go and look for palm wine, they sit down, and as and when they drink the palm wine, they think about development issues. He's able to lobby, he's able to attend funerals, all of that. People must know that the local government elections is a ground for training future leaders.
Should we get to a point where before you become an MP, you ought to be an assemblyman?
Well,
I've seen people move that.
Conventionally, we can.
You have to change the constitution.
But we cannot legislate on it. It is like education, using education as a qualification. You can't legislate on it. It will affect their human right. You are disenfranchising somebody from rising. But what we should know is that local government elections are grounds for training future leaders. Those who have become assembly members before can arguably become better leaders because when they rise to the top, they understand the suffering and they know the terrain. In fact, we have some presidential candidates who pride themselves by saying that I have toured the whole country. I have toured the length and breadth of this country. What do they mean? Or what do they want to communicate? They are communicating that they understand the needs of the people. So let me tell people that, look, be interested in the assembly member election. Go out there and vote for your unit committee member and your assembly member for once. And then after that, hold the person accountable.
Okay, I need to take a break, but there was a question from Susan on the transparent, fair, and inclusive electoral process. She's concerned about that. EC.
Yeah. I don't know whether...
the assurance, they need the assurance.
No, but if you talk of transparency, that is involvement of people.
Okay.
Right? And every process that we take in the electoral commission is transparent. Because the candidates will be there, they are supposed to send their agents. When the results are being counted, they'll be there. Okay. When we fill the counting and we fill in the forms, they are supposed to endorse it as having accepted the results. So I don't know.
Just like we do for
now, if you talk of fairness, means that applying the laws pertaining to elections, and I don't think we will apply the laws when it comes to the presidential parliamentary and change it. Then the next one was
about inclusiveness.
Inclusiveness, we are doing a lot of stakeholder engagement.
Okay.
We're doing a lot of stakeholder engagement. Last week, we did about I think 16 of them.
There were some concerns also that were raised by some persons we are told are disabled. They raised concerns, at least my colleague Martina Bugui sent some concerns that the disabled raised. I don't know if we have all this inclusiveness and all.
As far as our laws are concerned,
okay,
the law does not discriminate.
Okay.
So you cannot have different laws for people with disability and people with...
Okay.
And fortunately for local level elections, we don't take deposits.
Okay.
So it is the presidential parliament that will take deposits, that we are thinking of trying to slash it for females and
disabled.
But for this one, everybody contests on his or his own. But we have introduced the tactile jacket for the people with visual impaired.
Okay.
So that they can vote without anybody knowing who they voted for. So the secret of ballot is going to be assured, but we are engaging them.
Okay, let me take a quick break. We'll return with many more of your questions tonight here. I'm sure by now you know why you should care about that upcoming election on Tuesday. This is The Probe. We're right back to take more of your questions. Welcome back from the break. This is The Probe, and my guest, Dr. Eric Odrosa, and also Dr. Siribo Okweku from the EC, and then also local governance expert. We've been talking about the upcoming District Assembly and Units Committee elections, why you should care. Now I know you truly care about it, and you definitely participate. But we have more of your questions. Let's get into it, and then we can wrap up on this. And this one from AC. Okay, Elsie, could you provide information about the voter registration process for this election? Are there any changes or updates compared to previous registration processes? So Elsie is just taking us back. Well, we have this one from AC says, is it time to remodel the local governance system to say appoint the assembly members through the chieftaincy system or allow the government in power make the appointments? That's AC's question. Carlos says, what challenges have historically hindered active citizen participation in this in these local level elections, and what strategies do you recommend to increase voter turnout and engagement this time? And that's Carlos's question. Labi says, is it not time to reintroduce the idea of partisan politics in this election to whip interest and participation? Labi, we've been talking about that. Grace says, do your panelists believe Ghanaians have had enough in terms of seeing the local governance system work for them? That's Grace's question. We'll end with Sullivan. We have one from Sullivan, and this one says, how is the Electoral Commission working to enhance voter education and awareness, specifically targeting participation in the District Assembly and Unit Committee elections? So let's start with AC's question. We've been talking about it during the break. Time to remodel the local governance system and appoint assembly members through the chieftaincy system, or allow the government to empower to make the appointments. They already have 30% as a government, so they have to continue with the
time to remodel. I agree, but I don't agree. I disagree with the two suggestions, whether we should allow government to appoint or
through the chieftaincy system.
What we need to do is, if I'm asked to propose, I will propose that we should even abolish the government appointee system and go all out to elect all the assembly members. All the assembly members, if we can, let us elect them. And then also go ahead to amend Article 55 Clause 3 and elect the chief executive as well on partisan basis. Once all assembly members are elected on partisan basis, chief executives are also elected on partisan basis. What it then means is that we have a partisan local government system, a partisan parliament, a partisan executive. That works. That introduces the consistency we need in our governance system. That would also help us to nurture the smaller political parties who may not have the opportunity of winning elections to become president or even go to parliament. They'll have the opportunity of starting or implementing some of the brilliant ideas they have at the local government election people. It also reduces this winner takes all thing. Once one political party wins, they take over everything, and that is not the best. So I think that, look, if we want the smaller political parties to grow, if we want to break this ostrich cycle that we are always in every 4 years in local government election, let us go all out to elect all assembly members, abolish the government appointee system, elect chief executive on political or partisan basis by amending Article 55.
That's the system that is used in the UK councillor system?
Yes.
That's it, okay. But if we are copying, why won't we copy fully?
Well, unfortunately, we've not copied everything from the UK. We are using a parliamentary and a presidential, a mixed system. You know, so that's how come majority of our ministers come from parliament, and we have an executive president, and we have a local government system where this assembly is even more powerful than the region. You know, this assembly makes bylaws for the region to comply with. The regions are the powerless of the levels. They don't raise revenue. They don't have bylaw powers. They don't have anything. So we have to review our local government system and, if possible, abolish the government appointees.
You agree?
Yeah. We'll go to the government appointees. We have to also revisit the reason why the government appointees came in. Because the understanding was that the election may not produce some of the expertise that we are looking for. So the government would then appoint to fill in the gap that will be created as a result of the election. So we need to go and follow the motive behind the introduction of the appointees, so that instead of appointing politicians, we appoint people with technical know-how about the local level, the engineers, doctors, whatever, so they will complement the elected members. So that one, I don't agree if you go to the route. But if we are doing what we are doing now, then I think we should go election throughout.
But you agree it should be fully partisan?
100%, that one.
Yeah, Labi is asking that fully partisan.
No, the thing is
already is partisan.
The thing is there. Right now, let them finish the election. We hear the political party saying, we won this assembly election by this, by that, by that. If you want to come to decision-taking, confirmation of DC and the rest, they take entrenched positions supported by the financiers. So we are saying it is non-partisan, but it is. On the ground, that's not the case.
But it is also important for us to know that now, you see, because our local government elections are not organized on partisan basis, we cannot use the local government election as a midterm election. We cannot, because it is not on partisan basis. If it were to be on partisan basis, we can use it as a midterm election, as it happens in other countries. So we are losing a lot by playing ostrich, and it is making the foundation of our democracy weak. National level democracy, we are doing well, but local level democracy, we are not doing well because the local leaders are not elected on partisan basis.
Okay, so then it falls into Grace's issue about whether you all believe that Ghanaians have had enough in terms of seeing the local governance system work for them.
Well, they may not have had enough, but they've seen something. Local governments are working. I must say, it's not local government that are not working. Some are working, but there's more room for improvement.
Okay. Well, Carlos has an issue about challenges that have historically hindered active citizen participation in these local level elections. You've talked about the fact that we don't need a holiday for us to, participate amongst others. But what strategies do we recommend, apart from just making the noise that we've talked about amongst others? It's just noise.
You can't do anything. We need to educate the people for them to appreciate the philosophy behind the local level elections. So that people get to know that these are the activities that the youth committee people are supposed to do. And these are what the role the assemblies are supposed to do. The people who appreciate, then the people are about us. But here, a lot of people, especially in Accra here, they don't even know the electoral area. You yourself, I don't know. I'm not sure whether you know you are.
She knows.
I know.
Yeah, but let us also be fair to the system. In Ghana, we have a national decentralization policy and strategy. Now, within this policy, we have developed what we call a participatory framework. Within the participatory framework, we have chiefs, we have opinion leaders, we have civil society organizations that partners with the Ministry of Local Government to continuously do capacity building, education and sensitization. What we need to do is to partner with national level institutions like NCCE, Information Services Department, so that we do continuous education. And once we do that, the awareness will be raised. We should not wait for local government election years before we do that. We should do this on a continuous basis.
Okay. Well, let's find out from the EC how prepared we are for Tuesday, at least, in terms of security, in terms of materials. What's really the process? From now to Tuesday, what are we to expect from the Electoral Commission?
I will look at it from 3 areas.
Okay.
First, the people we are going to work with. We've finished the training today. So we have a full set of people who supervise the work on the ground for us. We have also sent our BVDs, the biometric verification machine that will help to identify you. And the rest, they went to the register about 2 weeks ago. And the ballot papers delayed a bit. But today, almost all of them are gone. So in terms of logistics, they are there. In terms of human resource, we have trained them. So we are set for the election.
Security measures.
We have reactivated Election Security Task Force.
Okay.
So about a week ago, the chairperson of the commission and the IGP interacted with the media. So that is what, and I'm sitting here, I'm part of the JOC, so we meet almost every day to discuss strategy in terms of deployment and other things. And you see a lot of security around the polling station this time around. And I would advise people not to go and misbehave so that people get into trouble because of the elections. So everybody should go by the rules governing elections so that you and I will be free. But the police, the police who is supposed to provide the security, but because they don't have the numbers, they fall on the other security services like immigration, fire service, prison, and the rest. So all the places they will see the security.
And voting ends at what time? Is it ending 3 o'clock this time?
7 o'clock. It ends at 5, not 3.
Not 3. Okay.
That one's a from proposal. We are here to implement that. So when it ends at 5, the count will be done in the full day of the people around there. Then the results will be declared at the various polling stations. Then the results, polling stations will be collated at the electoral area collation centers, and the final results will be declared. This is what first past the post. So you can win by a single vote.
Okay.
Wow. So if you win one polling station, you have not won. Because the results will be collated. Some electoral areas have 73 polling stations. So if you win at one, you don't know what has happened at the 72. So don't win at one, say the electoral commission has rigged the election.
Yes.
So you need to know that the results will be put together. If it is a 5 polling station electoral area, all the 5 results will be put together. So let's take note of that.
You would have won. Okay, so that's what you need to know. Now, Dr. Eric Odorsai, just before we wrap up, at least a final pitch to those who still may be adamant at this point in terms of why they should care and why they should participate on Tuesday. Your audience.
Thank you very much. Putting the structures in place for the development of this country in the next 5 years starts on Tuesday. We're going to elect our assembly members and unit committee members. Please be part of this elections, because governance, your participation in governance starts with the local government elections. Then after that, you elect your MP next year and the president next year. Please be part, because if you are not able to elect your assembly member, you can't hold them accountable. Do not complain if your roads are bad because you did not elect your assembly member. Start today or on Tuesday, and then make sure you elect your assembly member. And that is the beginning of being a good citizen who exercises his political rights as required by the Constitution.
And there's no vote buying at that level.
You can't buy everybody. Unfortunately, they don't have money. They've used their money to do campaign. They don't have money. So don't even go and buy votes, because if you go and buy the votes, the person will not bring the development. So please don't collect money from anybody. Go and vote for somebody or the person who can bring development.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of The Probe, the District Assembly and Unit Committee elections on Tuesday. Starts from 8 a.m., ends at 5 p.m. 7 a.m., ends at 5 p.m. And you ought to participate. This is why you should care. I am ready to vote in the 2023 DLEs, and you too must get involved. Dr. Eric Odorsai will vote. Dr. Sribokwek, will you vote?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, you will vote.
I'm voting by proxy.
Okay. Well, we'll be monitoring that. And thank you so much for your time here on The Probe. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. For our radio audience, A Walk of Jesus is up next. And for our TV audience, Sarah Amele Josu takes over with Showbiz Business Edition. Please do stay with us. I am MFA Pau. Have a good evening.